Hello, my friends. Russell Wright from Network Empire and ThemeZoom.com. This is the SkyFall update for Network Empire and ThemeZoom inner members. That's members of the Network Empire community. And we want to talk to you today about the much awaited information about SkyFall. And the reason it's taken, as long as it's taken to get this out, is because we wanted to prepare and provide you with the most accurate and helpful information possible. I'm on the line today with Sue Bell, ThemeZoom architect, fearless leader of several of our companies, ThemeZoom, Network Empire, and several others. I'm also here with Jimmy Kelley, SEO prodigy, data analyst. He's so far beyond SEO when it comes to analyzing data. He's taught me a ton about data cube analysis, algorithms, and how to look at on-page, off-page factors and bend the search engines to your will. Today we're going to talk about the SkyFall update. Guys, thanks so much for being here with our community, and we know that this is a really important, and everyone is super excited. We've been getting hit on Skype and email and Facebook, and I've actually gotten direct phone calls. What's going on with SkyFall? What is it? So thank you, Sue. What is this on the screen, and why are you showing this to us, this data grid point?
Well, this is a light beam, and I actually want to back up for a minute and say we're going to talk today about two different patents and how it's going to impact most nearly all of the SEO practices in today's world, with the exception of what we teach in Network Empire. So if you guys have been following what we teach, you can breathe a sigh of relief now. I won't keep you in anticipation for the next 30 minutes.
Actually, Sue, let's actually pause on that for a second because it's really important. I got to tell everybody listening, that was actually my question as well. I follow the patents as much as I can. I collect the patents, but I just simply don't have the technical background that Jimmy and Sue actually have. And that's the first question I asked. I said, what is it that changes for Network Empire and ThemeZoom, knowing that we release things sometimes 3 or 4 years in advance, like we did SEO silo website architecture before it was popularized. Bottom line is that there's very little that changes, and the couple of items that do, you're going to cover here, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about this interesting graphic that's on the screen. This is a plugin called Lightbeam for Mozilla. And I've had it up today. I've just let it run. And what it's done is it's monitored my net activities, my browser activities. And I have actually visited 52 sites, and those sites are indicated by the circles.
Only 52?
But only 52.
It looks like a lot more on the screen.
Yeah, well, the rest of them are diamonds. And the diamonds are the sites that have been informed of my visits to the circular sites. So as you can see up here, that 365 third-party sites have been informed of something that I've done on one of the other sites. So that means either a cookie was had, or a piece of data was exchanged, or a piece of data was extracted. Somehow those sites were made aware of the fact that I was on Amazon, Facebook, Google, all of these other sites. And I just want to show you, the reason that we've got this here is so that you get a glimpse behind the curtain of the communication that goes on when you browse the internet. So in other words, you saw Amazon, you didn't see the connection to the 20 or 30 other sites that were had by that connection to Amazon.
Gotcha.
So one of the patents, we're coming to patents today, and one of them talks about footprints. And let me just show you Jimmy's really great image here. So this is an image that attempts to communicate the different ways in which Google is going to be footprinting your online activities. In other words, when you create a website and then there are inbound links to that website, it looks for all of those inbound links. It makes associations out of the documents of those inbound links and tries to find footprints. So that's this patent right over here. And this is the actual patent. It was actually submitted. It was filed in January of 2012, and it was just released, which means it's just been a couple of weeks ago that you've actually been able to read the patent.
Right.
So It's long, it's arduous, it's full of patentees.
Is Patentese an actual language?
It is now. and and there's a few images that are associated with it. This image in particular is the one that we've tried to replicate with a bit more information. So within the scope of this patent, they talk about a lot of things. They talk about LANs, they talk about WANs, they talk about PSTNs, intranets. They talk about the individual components of your desktop and of servers. They talk about the IP address. They talk about traffic to the document, linking documents, host names, ownerships, emails, and tiered document associations, with the tiers going 3 levels deep. And all of these things are used to create footprints. Okay, so let's just get into a little bit of the detail here. Let's get into the good stuff, right? If you're logged into Google and you access sites, you can easily tell by using this little plugin over here what other sites get updated by that information. In fact, if you're logged into any major social media account, other sites get updated to the fact that you're hitting these sites and doing stuff on it. So one of the things that it's looking for is your ownership of the documents for inbound links. And that ownership can be email, it can be social media account, it can be IP address, whole host of things. Then another way that it's trying to find footprints is by host names. If you've got the same host name for multiple documents, and it's looking at this on the document level, not just on the blog level or the domain level. So if you've got the same host name for multiple documents, it's finding an association. Now, just because it finds an association doesn't mean that it's an actual footprint. It doesn't mean that, just because you've got 30 other sites that are hosted on GoDaddy that point to your site, that those 30 other sites are actually sites that you own and that you've created backlinks on. But it starts to raise flags. And this patent talks about thresholds of information. So it's looking for footprints that are clearly defined enough to say, that's fishy. And when there's enough that fishy, then it raises a flag.
Gotcha.
So I have never seen anything so all-encompassing. And the interesting part about the patent is its lack of specificity in some areas. In other words, because it covers everything from the memory and the network card in your computer and yada, 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 it alludes to, it could be tracking all the way down to a MAC address, right? And things like an IP address are almost a foregone conclusion.
Right, absolutely.
So our job over the course of the last 4 or 5 sleepless days has been to try and make sense out of what makes sense. Right. Where do you draw the line? What seems reasonable?
How paranoid do you want to get?
Right. And this is where, honestly, like when you take into account the fact that Google is in bed with the NSA, they're probably collecting a whole other level of data than they had been before. And so why not turn that and use it for finding spam?
Exactly.
So Jimmy brought up a really good point in the previous video, which is, I'm going to steal your thunder. Sorry, Jimmy. Which is what we have seen to date in terms of largely PBNs being brought down. I mean, Matt Cutts was quite vocal in the spring about saying that the next 6 months were going to be about decimating PBNs. And or blog networks, I believe is what he called it. And I think that the blog networks that you've seen come crashing down over the last couple of months are actually the ones that are obvious for other reasons and not necessarily for the reasons stated in this patent, because why wouldn't you get rid of the easy stuff first, right?
Yes.
And then you're going to so I would look at this data, at all of the opportunities for creating a footprint that we've elaborated here that are enumerated within the patent, and say, there are degrees to which this makes sense, and there are degrees to which this doesn't make sense. Now, since we don't actively try to manipulate PageRank, which is what the Google's Terms of Service is all about, we're not in the same world of hurt as most of the SEO industry.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so let's just talk for a few minutes. Let me mention the other patent first before we go on.
Yes, there's another related patent to this, or?
Yes, and it's a patent. It's this patent over here, and it has to do with ranking search results, and what it looks for, I think, is really quite ingenious. It talks about the amount of traffic on a particular keyword or to a particular site is what I get when I combine these two patents together. And the number of inbound links to a site for a particular keyword can't exceed the number of queries for that keyword in a particular period of time. So like, let's say you just put up your site, you're gung-ho about building links while it's still fresh, and you put up 200 inbound links for New York tree trimming service.
Right.
But there are only 100 searches for that term in a given month.
Okay.
Right, so you've put up twice the number of inbound links to your site alone than there are for that entire search value for the entire month. So this like raises a flag. It immediately says, the number of inbound links here are probably not right, because think about it from the other perspective for a minute. If you only had links built naturally, you've got maybe 1,000 people coming to your site. What percentage of those 1,000 people coming to your site are going to say, hey, wow, this content is so hot, I'm going to put an inbound link to it?
Right.
Right, maybe 2%?
Exactly.
And what keywords is that 2% going to use? Is it all going to be your money keyword? Right? So when you start to look at it that way, you start to go, okay, this is kind of easy to start spotting things that are possibly less than natural.
Right, exactly.
All right, so
let me let me understand. Yeah. Let me just repeat back to you what I think I heard you say for our users, because you're like a super brainiac and everything. I don't have your background. So what I hear you saying is that there's a relationship between the link ratio to traffic ratio, as well as more information and data that they're able to track in terms of documents, including relationship to the documents, right?
Yep.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I got that, and that's the clear. And you're going to get into the recommendations about all this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's where we're
Continue.
going
I don't want to interrupt you. Keep going.
All right. So these are the things that you can do if you're coming up against a wall with your rankings, and you don't want to resort to things that are going to raise what are going to be flags from here on out. Silo linking structures. We're all about silos. We've got plugins for silos.
Yep.
If you're having problems getting a silo, if there's a silo that's slow to rank or keywords within a silo that's slow to rank, add more content to that silo.
Okay.
That doesn't leave any kind of a footprint. It doesn't do anything. It's your site. You can log in and add more content, right?
Got it.
It's going to cross-link. It's going to add more on-site thematic relevance to those keywords, and it's going to rank it easier.
Got it. Okay. So siloing is a 2 thumbs up, still hot.
Yes, hotter than ever.
Got it.
All right. The
Funny
second
that.
thing right?
Funny that. Since 2006. Theme Zoom.
Right.
Website silo architecture. All right, go ahead. I love it.
All right. So the next thing is, if you're going to do anything the least little bit interesting, don't broadcast it to Google. Don't be logged into Google. Don't be logged into any of the social media, the major social media accounts, because as we just saw back over here, stuff gets tracked and you don't know what, and I would imagine that that tracking is going to become more-ish, not less-ish.
And what you're saying is, when you say don't be logged in, you're meaning don't be logged in a way that's relating everything to everything, or are you saying don't be logged in?
Don't be logged in. So the great thing that I like about Mozilla is you can come up here, you can say open a new private window, and that's a completely, that window is completely encapsulated into itself. It doesn't accept cookies. It doesn't know anything about your other tabs and other windows that are open. If you're logged in another window, you're not logged in here. And so you can do whatever it is that you want to do within that environment, and when you're done, close it. Don't keep it open and do multiple things on multiple sites and multiple,
Right.
questionable activities,
Don't
right?
open anything that's connected to anything that shouldn't be connected to anything to game something that's not connected to that.
Exactly. Well said.
Oh, damn it. Got it.
All right. Now, if you're crossing yet another threshold, then you might want to obfuscate your IP address. Um, 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 what's the application that you can use?
For what? Oh,
For
that's
the
hide my IP is
Hide
not
my IP.
terrible. There's a
Yeah.
few other ones. I've used those for a while. So those hide my IP is good. They actually have one also called hide my Mac, which is more intense.
Yeah.
We'll get into that at a later time.
Yeah. Um, so those, in terms of like what it is you're going to do when you're doing something questionable, those are the three things that I would do.
Okay.
And if you're in doubt as to whether what you're doing or have done might have left a footprint or will leave a footprint, make it a no-follow link.
Okay.
Right? Because a no-follow link tells Google, hey, I'm not trying to manipulate PageRank. I'm staying within your terms of service, and yet it still passes link juice, and it will still help your ranking efforts.
Okay.
The next thing I would do is power up your social links with domain authority stacking. So we cover that in depth, how to do that in one of our courses, domain authority stacking course.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about that is that it's all third-party platforms. So if I were Google, this whole process, right? I've been putting myself in the shoes of Google, and I've been thinking about the amount of coding required and the effort required. So if I'm Google and I'm looking at a third-party platform like, let's say, YouTube.
Right.
Huge, huge, huge platform. All kinds of people on it, on all kinds of places, leaving comments, posting replies, reply videos, posting their own videos. Like, they're just doing everything everywhere, right? Hard to track.
Okay. All right,
So
Sue.
third-party platforms
I need
are
to
easy.
hold that thought right there. We're just going to
Okay.
pause for a quick second because we've had a technical malfunction. And we'll just pause and get her video back, everyone. One moment. Good. Okay, we are back, Sue. We just had a slight Skype technical bandwidth malfunction.
All right.
Go ahead and continue. You're right there with the social stuff.
Yeah. Domain authority stacking
Yes.
and powering up. Is there anything else you want to say about power-ups with domain authority stacking, Mr. Kelley?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, social signals and everything would be helpful in that sense, and I think it would provide a way to not be leaving footprints as well, and getting traffic in on those fronts, So.
Exactly, which brings me to my next point. Using social explosion, either in conjunction with vCracken or not, is going to provide you with social signals without leaving any kind of a footprint, because our arrays are just huge and our IPs are diversified, and it definitely can't be tracked back to you, and it also generates traffic as well. So putting social explosion on your blog is a quick and easy way to increase the domain authority of your site. And this was another thing that I came across in my contemplation with all of these patents, was if you have a blog that you're using, like a traditional PBN type style blog, where you created the blog, you added some content, it had some existing domain authority, and you're just using that domain authority to power the links to your money sites or to whatever, and you haven't been back to do anything to that blog in a while. Like, think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
And this is something that I actually read in one of the patents. I'm just not sure whether or not it's one of these two, because I've been through about 20. So if you have, no, it was one of the authority patents. It wasn't one of these two. So it talks about the degree of authority and the freshness of content, and if you have a blog that's sitting out there that has no traffic and it has nothing new going on it, then why should Google continue to give it any kind of link juice?
I mean, that makes
right?
sense, right?
Yeah. So social explosion and with vCracken is going to automatically add additional posts. It'll add them by keywords if you're not familiar with that plugin. It'll automatically add new posts to your blog, and when you use Social Explosion with that, then it will automatically add inbound links to those new posts. And all of this will generate traffic and interest and feed Google exactly what it's looking for in terms of making the blog look alive, and therefore keeping the value of your links high.
Now, I just want to clarify for people, there are some students in our community, Sue, who are brand new, and Social Explosion is like they have no idea what that is. So we're talking about wpsocialexplosion.com, which is a Network Empire product.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a plugin that goes into your WordPress blog. And essentially, it's the hardest product I've ever had to sell because nobody has to do anything. It's not a plugin that you put your own social media accounts in, although you can do that in a second tier. We do allow your own. It is the thing that everybody wants. Please create domain authority and backlinks from real social media accounts on the Network Empire Social Signal Exchange network for me so that I don't have to create social signals, right? That's what we do.
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that everybody in our community knows that we're explaining this to you because we have so many software products, it's easy to get confused. And this one is one of our babies. It's really related to this patent, the combo patent, and it's very helpful for everything that's going on. Thank you, Sue. I just wanted to clarify for the new beginners.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll have links to both WP Social Explosion and to vCracken associated with this post. So then the next thing is going to be, what if you've already done stuff that's bad as far as these patents go? What if you've already created footprints? Like, how do you get that undone? And we're going to talk about that extensively in the Traffic Hospital course. We're going to put out some updates, show people what it is that they can do and how they can mitigate any damage as it rolls out. And it's stuff that you can do. You can be proactive about that. You can actually take advantage of mitigating some of those things that you already know are bad. You can handle those now, and then you never have to worry about being penalized.
Exactly. Fantastic. So this is really the major. Now, have you covered the recommendations, the main recommendations that you wanted to make sure that we cover today in this release for people?
Yeah, we went into, when we had the meeting with the certified advisors yesterday, we went into some advanced ranking techniques and methods for adding domain authority to the WR1 and WR2 sites, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. Yeah,
but here's the reason for that, folks. There's a couple of reasons. The certification level students have been with us for many years, some of them for over 5 years, and we do have other levels of certification training at swallowyourmarketwhole.com. Here's the feedback we got back from our community. The feedback when I asked them, should we release the full gale force of all of the hows and the whats of what to do about this, the answer was a resounding no, because several of the comments were, they would have to have an immense amount of training previously to even understand what it is that we're talking about. Because there's a couple of things that we do that are a combination between website silo architecture, still good, with certain kind of backlinking techniques that Jimmy and Sue teach in Traffic Hospital and Domain Authority Stacking and other other courses still work. However, there's a few tweaks to integrate these depending upon your situation, and nothing heavy. But this is really more than our general public. We don't want to make any assumptions that you have this kind of network or that you're just doing regular backlinks. We have literally thousands of students around the world using different kinds of backlinking systems. We have everybody from automated software using software that we don't recommend to people that are using the things that we do recommend. And literally, if you could see our help desk and our live certification events and our webinar certification events from swallowyourmarketwhole.com, you would see that for every person we have, there's a different way of doing things and a different way of coming to the way to do it sustainably. Okay. So that being said, the final vote in our inner community was to make sure that the more advanced techniques be left at the certification level. But here's the bottom line. I'm going to go ahead and reiterate what Sue said. Sue and Jimmy, jump in as, treat me like a beginner here. Let me make sure that I'm getting things clear, okay, Sue? I'm going to do I'm going to play the role of a normal person that doesn't have you guys as brainiac brains. You just tell me how I'm doing. Okay. All right, here goes. I should not log in to a website like a WordPress blog and or a social media account in any kind of fashion through a browser that connects those two entities when the strategy of connecting them would be bad in terms of ranking factor.
Right, if it would expose that you're doing something that you don't really want Google to know that you're doing.
That is again, it's the toss. All right, so actually I shouldn't even throw that in. Let me try again. If there are 250 different websites, all on different IPs that I have for some reason or another, not that I ever would, I should not log in to each one of those domains with the same IP address, like from sitting at my desk, like to WP admin.
Right, and your outsourcer shouldn't do it either.
And my people in Russia, Ukraine, Romania, right. South America, Hawaii, Canada. Where else do we have outsourcers to? South Africa. Okay. They should not be, I mean, I know this seems obvious to some people, but you would be blown away by how many we've seen that just like, yeah, I'm doing all this in my living room. Don't do that anymore.
Or you're logged into your Google account
while
you're doing all that. Or
you're doing all that and you think you're being sneaky and you're using hide my IP or whatever, but you're like logged into the same Gmail account, which is what? Google.com/dashboard. One dashboard to rule them all, which is what? Your Gmail account. Sue and I have tested this, talked to other people. If you are being, all that kind of second level paranoia that some people we know have had for a couple of years, that has now just come to the whole another level. Go ahead to be safe until they roll out the remaining portions of this patent to be sure that you do not log in if you're going to do stuff like that. Not that you ever would, because, So that's that. That's the second thing, right, Sue?
Right.
The other thing is there anything else actually? Can you help me? I want to make sure there's more things too.
When in doubt, use a no-follow link.
That's huge. I didn't know that you were going to get into that right away with this community, so I'm glad you did. If I'm doing crazy stuff, and I don't really understand SEO, and there's a lot of that going around, just use no-follow links, right?
Yeah. Or if you don't want it, like me personally. Mm-hmm. I don't want to dot all these I's and cross all these T's.
I know.
Right? I know at some point I'm going to hit a browser where I'm logged in and it's going to be an oops.
Whoops. So what you're really saying, and again, I have to speak, Sue, we have literally hundreds of people per week coming into our organization. So a lot of them come into our organization with this idea that you can't rank with no follow links. And is it okay if I just mention that you can? Or
Absolutely.
Okay, because I wasn't sure how far guys, Jimmy Kelley, Sue Bell, other associates in ours, you can rank with no follow links. It's different. There's different methods. We teach this in domainauthoritystacking.com and others. But again,
and with the one feed and with the 5 iframe punch, all of those things are going to be actually the one feed do follow links, but because they're feeds, they're perfectly acceptable. Like you're not going to get penalized for that. You're not going to get penalized for taking your feed and putting it everywhere. So all of the stuff that we teach inside a Network Empire, it's fine. And all of the stuff that you're going to be doing within social media, 99% of that is already no follow, so it's not a big deal.
Got it. So what you're really saying is in terms of your own, there are certain things that some people do out there that might be unclear for them, and when in doubt, no follow is what you're saying. Right. I think it's a really good rule. If you're not if you have this question in your mind, this fuzzy and we'll talk to our own students in the Basic Network Empire Skype group and all the other Skype groups we have. If you have this idea that you need to contact the help desk and have a complex coaching course on what to link where for your backlinking and for your on-site linking, just no follow it.
Exactly.
Okay. Otherwise, come to our advanced training. That's just the bottom line, guys. The ranking methods and linking methods that we teach are complex. The factors, we have people been studying with us for 4 years. Now making 5 and 6 figures to learn the things, using the things that we've taught them. So don't try to learn everything in one day. This is a different level, okay? And for those of you who start understanding some of the privacy issues and the size of the data acquisition that Google is undertaking, we'll be fine, when you follow these rules. And if you want to learn more about the answers behind the answers, the patents behind the patents, the questions, services, techniques, methods, and inside scoops that Jimmy and Sue teach at our live certification event in March and every year at various times, please do look at swallowyourmarketwhole.com and networkempire.com. Those of you who are interested in learning the more advanced techniques in the meantime, we look forward to having you in our community. We have a live open webinar every month for anybody in our membership area. That's the first Tuesday of every month. And if we're lucky, Jimmy Kelley shows up, Kevin Polly shows up, and if we're really lucky, Sue Bell shows up. She's usually there on this Tuesday. And we talk about website silo architecture, and it's bring your own website, where we open these kinds of conversations up in the basic to intermediate level to talk about and get you trained on these principles. And we tend to adapt all of these principles to what we're doing. This is why we call it a perpetual mastermind group. Even our certification level 3 and level 4 certification, is all about perpetual mastermind. Why do we call it perpetual mastermind training? Because of patent updates like this. Things are constantly changing. I work with some of the best minds in the world on this topic, and it's constantly changing even for them. Would you agree, Sue? I mean, it's permanently changing. Yeah. This is why you can't... Go ahead.
Even so, we have absolute evergreen practices because the web does change, because one social media platform is here today, gone tomorrow.
Yes.
Because things shift. Mm-hmm. How many years ago was it that Pinterest wasn't even on the map, right? So black swans happen regularly on the internet.
They do.
And so
does everybody know what a black swan is, though? Can you explain that, Sue? Black swan?
A black swan is something that's completely unexpected. It's not conceivable that something like that could happen. And there's been more of those with the advent of the internet than I have ever seen before. I think than humanity's ever seen before.
Exactly. This was a term invented by the economist Dr. something Hassim. I can never remember his first name. It's called the black swan. And he's literally talking about these unseen, quote, planet or business killers that swing by unexpected because of some innovation. And, since we are one of those innovations, we understand what to look for. And that's really what Sue, I understand what you're saying there, Sue. So it looks good. Do you feel comfortable with this as a general rollout for our community?
Absolutely.
Okay. Guys, there is more to this. Please do, many of you listening to this are certification advisors. Please do see us in the inner certification Skype rooms, in the inner sanctum. Jimmy, we realize that you've been watching music videos and stormtroopers twerking. That's okay. But do you have any? Do you have a closing statement? You've been awful quiet, probably because your eyeballs are bleeding from looking at all these patents with us for the last few days.
No, I don't have anything else.
But I would like you to say something profound. Just make something up. Here's what I want from you. Okay, Jimmy, you're one of the craziest prodigy level data analysts that I've seen in a while. With your general perspective and having, with Sue and the rest of the team, we've looked at a lot of these patents, where do you think ultimately link building will be 2 years from now?
That's an interesting question.
Uh-huh.
I don't think link building will be of very much value at all in the future. I think it's going to move towards a semantic web.
Gotcha.
I think it'll be incorporated a little bit, but I think the value that Google places on it will diminish significantly.
Okay. Sue, would you agree with that more or less?
I would agree with that, because in amongst the 20 or 30 patents that we've read, there have been an astounding number of semantic patents. We'll be coming out with an update. I've talked to Kevin about doing a Webby on those semantic updates within the next couple of weeks.
Excellent.
And
And let's just cover that for the members. Remember, we have a lot of new people that have just flooded into our community, Sue.
Right.
Semantic web, if you're not familiar with it, this is something that it's a brilliant play and strategy. Sue Bell has been in the semantic web for a long time. I know I'm not supposed to give this URL out, but her own private company is the Semantic Revolution, or semanticrevolution.com. It's not a major hub site, but just need to let you know that her work with Kevin Polly, who is a major advocate deep and connected information on both the indie web and the semantic web, who is our supervising organizer for the help desk and process maps for the functional information for our community, is also a semantic web master. We have a course called Semantic Web Training. The reason that we've started teaching this now, in 2013 really is when it started, wasn't it, Sue?
Yep,
the
a year ago.
reason we started teaching that, folks, is because, how can I say this without sounding like a buffoon? We already know what's coming. We just can't tell you exactly how it's going to roll out. And we, in the same way that we were accurate about website silo architecture being a functional internal site structure that's going to help you rank higher for fewer inbound links, this is the same thing with semantic web and link building, except bigger and more planet changing. So with that, I want you to understand why we teach what we teach, why we don't waver from our core principles, why our focus is not on making a huge amount of money off you, but on making sure that you have the accurate information. For example, when we roll out a release like this and talk about something like SkyFall, if you think that we make a ton of money on it, that's not accurate. What we do is run, because we develop software, we constantly have to hedge against making sure that the software that we're creating and building for you actually does what it's supposed to do. I got to tell you, Sue Bell has an immense amount of integrity as a software developer, to the point that if there's an algorithm or a function in any of our tools that are no longer useful, it's gone and replaced by Tuesday morning. Now, that's very cool stuff. I mean, we're already talking about the thing we're going to be showing you guys in terms of being able to deal with this in the last keyword tool. So we want you to know why we get into this stuff, why we even reveal the things that affect all of us to you quickly, is because we want you to have the biggest bang for your buck, the highest leverage, best rankings, and more importantly, most traffic and business success on the web within your business. Thank you so much, Sue Bell and Jimmy Kelley. I appreciate this rollout for the general Network Empire community. Any last words? Are we good?
I think we're good. Thank you so
much,
much,
you
Russell.
guys. I'm going to push this out to the world, and I appreciate all your time. And we look forward to seeing you on the inside, and we look forward to seeing you at the live Network Empire Certification Event 2015. Thank you.